Khatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarana Paramananda Madhavam. Hare Krishna. So the seeds for the appearance of Lord Nrsinghadeva were actually sown many ages ago in Vaikuntha itself. So as we know that when Brahma appeared, the universe was empty. He was the first living entity. And in order to assist him in this process of creation, the first set of personalities that appeared are the four Kumars. So the four Kumars are as old as Lord Brahma, but they always appear as young 5-year-old boys. And when they appeared, then Brahma, he blessed them and he said that you go forth, marry, have many offsprings, and help increase the population of the universe. So the four Kumars were not interested because they were transcendentalists. They were more interested in pursuing the path of Jnana and Vairagya. So they declined. And while Lord Brahma, he accepted the decision, he was still angry because
Haribol, Facebook Live.
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
Oh, it is? I'm not seeing that Facebook sign.
It's on the upper left-hand corner.
And it's not Maharaj's wall, it's my wall.
I saw something here.
It says live on Facebook.
It says live.
Yeah, it says live.
And can someone check if it's in my wall or no?
It is showing up live on Facebook.
Yeah, it's in your wall, Indu. It's in Indu. Other wall is live now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Balaka. Thank you. Yes.
So where was I?
Brahma is angry when
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. So even though Brahma understood that they were coming from a higher place, that they desired to pursue the path of transcendence, but he still was angry. And we know that he tried to control his anger but could not. So the anger appeared as the Rudras. So these four Kumars, Sanat, Sanatan, Sanak, and Sanandan, they are Rajneesh Prabhu, you may want to mute yourself. Thank you. So the four Kumars were Gyanis, powerful yogis. So once they decided to visit Vaikuntha, the spiritual planet, they had read about it, they heard about it, and being yogis, they were able to travel using the power of the mystic yoga, and went to Vaikuntha. So one by one, they crossed the different gates, the dwars of Vaikuntha. And they observed the opulence, they observed the beauty of the residence over there. And the guards at all the doors, they did not stop there until the four Kumars reached the innermost door. which was guarded by Jay and Vijay, very close associate of Lord Vishnu. So close that they were Sarupya. They had a similar form as Lord Vishnu. Four-handed form, with the dark bluish body, beautiful lotus petal eyes. So when the four Kumars were beginning to enter the innermost doors, then they were stopped by Jay and Vijay, saying that you cannot go in. And when they were stopped, then the four Kumars became upset, because they were eagerly looking forward to get audience of their Lord Vishnu, and looking upon these gods as impediments to their bhakti, to their devotion, they became angry. So there's an interesting conversation that happens, and the four Kumars says that how come these people are over here in the spiritual world who are seeing duality? Duality is the nature of material world, where you see the duality between body and spirit. You see a difference between male and female, the difference between young and old, but not in the spiritual world. It's only there in the material world. And they were more surprised that these are the most intimate associates of Lord. So how is it that they are displaying such a characteristic, such a nature? So in anger, they cursed the two gods. Now, when they cursed the gods, then the gods also, in the meantime, they understood the error of their ways. And it is said that's the difference between the material and the spiritual conception. So sometimes people think that spiritual conception means always doing the right thing. That's not true. In fact, that is almost like a Mayavadi conception, because only the Lord can always be right. If one aspires to be at that position, that I'm never wrong, I'm always right, those are shades of impersonalism. You're basically attempting to acquire divinity. But what happens in the spiritual realm is that when a mistake is done, it is quickly realized and rectified. And that's what we see in Jay and Vijay. They realized they made a mistake. And as soon as they realized, they were profuse in their apologies. So in dealing with devotees, that is the recommended conduct. It's not that mistakes will never be made. It's the nature, whether the jiva is conditioned or not conditioned, it's the nature of the jiva to make mistakes. But the more liberated the jiva is, the more quickly will he be able to recognize the mistake, rectify it, seek forgiveness, look for ways to adjust for that mistake. So Jay and Vijay, they profusely apologized to the four Kumars. They took a low position, saying that we are dull-headed, we made a mistake. They glorified the four Kumars genuinely, that you are situated in acts of transcendence, purity. So much so that the four Kumars themselves became embarrassed. And they started saying, no, we are not really sure whether you made a mistake or we made a mistake. So don't worry about it. And that's the nature of when one is sincerely trying to make amends. It opens the heart of the other person also. So we see that the four Kumars, at one moment they were angry, and then And then they became their heart became soft and open. Now, while this conversation was happening, the news went to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu knows everything, but still there is this notion of him being the king of Vaikuntha. So the news went to Lord Vishnu, and he hurriedly came out. He came out hurriedly with Garuda, Lakshmi Devi, and seeing him, the four Kumars were awestruck. And with eyes wide open, they kept taking in his beauty and his grace. And then Lord Vishnu began to speak. So he first spoke glorifying the Brahmins, that how the Brahmins are dear to him. And he makes the statement that I would happily cut off my own arm rather than offend a Brahmin. And then he talks about his affection to his devotees. So one of the names of Krishna is Uttam Shloka. So Uttam Shloka, one meaning is that he who is glorified with the best of the verses. Uttam Shloka is also one who speaks the best of the verses, who's the most eloquent. So the four Kumars are personification of Gyan, intelligence. But even they were bewildered by the words of Lord Vishnu. And finally they said, my dear Lord, we're very happy to see you. We're very happy to hear the words coming from your mouth, but we have no idea what you're talking about. We don't know whether you're angry with us or whether you're happy with us. So please tell us, what is it that you would like us to do? If you think we made a mistake, then we are more than happy to ask for forgiveness. If there is anything else that you would like us to do, we would do it. So complete mode of surrender. Also, one may be the most intelligent, and the four Kumars are definitely there. They're basically considered as Shakti Vesh avatars. They are the Jnana Murtis. They are the personification of knowledge. But in front of the Lord, they're nothing. So much so that they could not even clearly decipher the words of the Lord. So then the Lord smiles at them and says that I know that you have cursed my two attendants, and while I have the power to reverse your curse, I am not willing to do it. So I'm sanctioning your curse. And then he lays out the details of the curse. Because the four Kumars are just cursed, a general curse that you don't deserve to be here. So then Lord Vishnu says that let me lay out the details of the curse. So he gives his attendants two options. That either because of the curse that you cannot be here, you have to leave Vaikuntha. But because in a way you're also faultless. So, and then he mentions that Lakshmi Devi was also upset at you. So he said, in a way you're also faultless. So I'm giving you two choices. Either you fall into the material world for 5 births as my dear devotee. And then after that, you will come back to me. Or you fall down into the material world as 3 births as my enemies, as demons. And after that, you will come back to me. So in either cases, you will come back to me because you're my dear devotee and associate, and I will not let you fall. But by undertaking this, accepting this curse, you will be purified of any pride that you might have of the position that you are occupying. So some of the acharyas say that Jai Vijay had a trace of pride. Sometimes it is said that the servants of a great person, they actually are proud, have more pride than the person himself. Like in India, if you go and try to meet an important person, first the chaprasi will scold you, and then you cross the chaprasi, then there is the private secretary, and then he will say, Saab is busy, come back tomorrow or next week. And then you go to another, and then finally when you meet the person is like, he's like, yeah, what can I do for you? Or straightforward. So the people that you cross, they have more pride than the person himself. Now, Jai Vijay was not like that, but there were traces, some acharyas say. And Lord Vishnu said, this would also help you. Now, Jai Vijay had two choices now. Either for 5 births, they come down as devotees, or for 3 births, they come down as demons. So they took the second choice. And they took it for 2 reasons. One reason they took the second choice was that they wanted to quickly come back to their position. So even when they were praying to the 4 Kumars, they were just praying for this, that whatever you do, whatever you say, please do not deprive us of the association of the Lord and his devotees. We are willing to go to any situations, heaven, hell, material, spiritual, as long as we have the association of the Lord and his devotees. Now, one may say that as a devotee, they had more opportunities to associate, but they were also attached to their service. So they had a certain service that they were doing for the Lord, and they did not want to inconvenience the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada would say that about us also, that every jiva has a certain service to render to Krishna, that only that jiva can render, nobody else. There are infinite jivas, and Krishna has infinite ways to receive services, so that every jiva is unique in that service. And when we turn away from Krishna, the service stops. So Prabhupada would say that Krishna is waiting for you to come back and resume that service. Don't make Krishna wait. Quickly go back. So they had that mood that we do the service for the Lord. We should not inconvenience the Lord. Now, the second reason is a little bit more guhyam, secretive. And they speak about it. They say that, my Lord, because we are your close associates, we are aware that you have this virya rasa, which is this mood of chivalry. The mood of chivalry is battle, conquest. So because Krishna has it, we have it. We see it in ourselves. We see it in history, big battles fought by people. So the reason it's there is because it's in Krishna. But then they said the problem is that there is nobody in the spiritual world who is inimical enough to fight with Krishna. And for obvious reasons. If they were inimical enough, they wouldn't be in the spiritual world to begin with. Now, Krishna does have mock fights. He has mock fights with the Gopals. Not Lord Narayan, but Krishna. So, but that's not satisfying. So they said nobody in the spiritual world is there to satisfy your viryaras. And those who are in the material world, they're not strong enough to give you a good fight. So you really will not enjoy that experience. But we are strong. Because we have your mercy, we are strong, we can give you a good fight. So when we fall down as demons, and then we can give you a good fight. And then Krishna says, so be it. And he gives them an assurance that whenever you fall as the demon, I will personally come to kill you. So it sounds a little bit macabre that Krishna is giving what seems like a benediction. As part of the benediction, he's saying, don't worry, I'll kill you. But in the scheme of things, you can see how it works out. Firstly, being killed by Krishna's hand is itself something that that is purifying. And secondly, it indicates the intense love of Krishna for his devotees. He recognizes the fact that Jay and Vijay are taking this position to serve him. And he reciprocates by accepting that service, that I will personally come to accept that service. So so because of the force of the curse, Jay and Vijay fell. Now this is one part of setting the background. The second part, which I'll speak after a small break, is the situation in which the first incarnations of Jay and Vijay appear on the Earth planet. But I'll take a break here and see if there's any discussion, comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Very beautiful class, Prabhuji. Like I really enjoyed. My question is, Prabhuji, like initially you mentioned Jay Vijay, they immediately realize their mistake and they genuinely and very profusely convey their apologies. And such a genuine acceptance and sometimes the devotional qualities, they scare to, it scares us to implement in our life. Suppose if we are honestly expressing that, I am really extremely sorry, like that. In devotee community, it is a lot easier, but outside world, the moment, yes, I say that I make a mistake, immediately, yes, you made a mistake, so you should be punished, and you did that this day. People can, we don't feel that confidence to project many of our the qualities which we would like to practice. So how do we, or what things we have to keep in mind while practicing these devotional qualities in life?
It's a very good question, Ravi Prabhu. I have thoughts on this. Would also like to see if any other devotee has any thoughts. All of us face the situation. Anybody would like to contribute?
Can I go, Prabhu?
Yes, sure, Balaka.
So what I think is, it's I mean, rather than what other people will think, it's my own pride which stops us. Like if we could give up that pride and accept, yes, this is my fault, then I think, even in our day-to-day life, I've seen, whenever we made mistakes, there are people who are not even devotees who try to boost your morale or something and give you, I mean, bring you up that thing. So mostly it is my pride which hurts, saying, oh, I am wrong. I cannot admit that. That's what I think it is.
Thank you, Bhayahari.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Amrita Lila here.
Haribol, Amrita.
Prabhuji, my thought is, as Balkadi mentioned, it's sometimes ego. Sometimes we don't feel free to say someone like, yes, I did a mistake, and lot of consequences we keep on thinking. Like, if I'm going to say this, then they may think, oh, like he or she is like this person. But without expecting, no matter whatever the front person is thinking, but if I did, I should give a justification to me. My soul will feel relaxed, or I will feel better. That way, if I can, we can convey any misdeed or anything mistake, then it will be helpful for us. Not whether they are thinking or not thinking, it's okay, up to them. But it will be helpful for us, even if reducing our ego, even if realizing and identifying our faults, and there may be some actionable items that we can do, and we can, improve ourselves.
Very good. Thank you.
Prabhuji, can I add something?
Yes, of course.
Ruchi here. Haribol to everybody. Prabhuji, I was reading an article that inspired me about the difference between Jivatma and Atma, right? So, so the takeaway message I got from there was, Atma makes, because it is centered on God, it makes a clear-cut decision, yes or no. It is not मन की तरह नहीं है, right? It's not like मन कि मेरे लिए क्या अच्छा है, मेरी इमेज क्या होगी, मैं माफी मांगूंगा तो सामने वाला क्या सोचेगा. तो अगर आत्मा के दृष्टिकोण से हम देखेंगे तो माफी मांगने में हमारे को कभी हिचक नहीं लगेगी. लेकिन अगर हम जीवात्मा के दृष्टिकोण से देखेंगे कि मैंने अगर अपनी गलती मान ली तो वो क्या सोचेगा, या मुझे लोग देखेंगे वो इसने गलती करी थी, राइट? तो बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing, Ruchi.
Hari bol, Prabhu. I think the one of the way Ravi Prabhu asked was, sometimes you say sorry and people just make it a habit that, okay, you can say sorry and I don't, that the value, it's not because of your ego, or it's not because I have seen it happen personally, where you say, okay, let me just to keep it pleasant, just to make it easy, just to get along, and we say sorry, and it becomes such a habit for other people to take advantage of that. And during that, how do we address, should we, for me, that what I felt at personal situation was, it's good to say sorry if you truly have made a mistake, not for just saying it, to keep the situation. And then what happens is people think that, okay, yeah, because she said sorry, she made the mistake, or the fault is on her side. I think that is a different viewpoint for that. But I think we should say sorry if we really feel we have made the mistake, and for some kind of what is something that you can make it do right to make it better.
रवि जी, विक्षा हर बात में ना सॉरी बोलती है, तो मैं उसको बोलती हूँ कि अंग्रेज चले गए सॉरी छोड़ के.
Thank you for all your thoughts and your realizations, and I think all are very valid points. It's a fine balance. That it's good to apologize if it is, or if you think we believe that it's your mistake. it is good to apologize if the apology is genuine. Like Ruchi is saying that Grace chale gaye, sorry chhod gaye. It's generally used in the context of saying sorry superficially. That sorry is available just as, it's just thrown around. Generally, they say that, an apology needs to have two components in it. One is an understanding of the mistake that you've done. And the second is a desire to remediate it. So unless these two are not there, then the apology is not really genuine. Like Prabhupada had this case of a disciple, and he would make mistakes over and over again and say, Prabhupada, please forgive me. Prabhupada, please forgive me. And after some time, Prabhupada says that I cannot. Because you're just not genuine. It's not. The Prabhupada said, you embarrassed me in front of my Guru Maharaj too many times. The flip side of it, as Rekha Mataji was saying, Ravi Prabhu was saying, is will people take advantage of you, even if you're doing it genuinely, with a desire to rectify? Would people still take advantage of you? And there are two thoughts that come. One is, I'm going back to actually the class that Prabhupada Maharaj gave in Rekha Mataji's house, where he concluded the class by quoting, not sure if it's something that Mother Teresa said or Mother Teresa liked, but it's basically something that she kept close to her in a room along with her, which meant something like that if you help somebody, people will misunderstand you, help them anyway. If you be nice, people may be bad, be nice anyway. I'm making up, I don't remember, but it was in this mood. And then the last part of it was the most powerful, that ultimately it was between you and God. It was never between you and them. So regardless of the way that people react, it's actually never between you and them. It's between you and Krishna. When Krishna sees his devotees acting in such an exemplary way, then Krishna takes an interest. Krishna is very powerful. He can make anything happen. He won't let his devotees be exploited. So ultimately, it is between us and Krishna. Krishna likes this quality. He likes this quality of forbearance, likes this quality of humility. And when the quality is being displayed in adverse circumstances, then it actually becomes more warming, right? Because it's said that anybody can fast after a meal. You eat in a good meal and you say, okay, I'm going to fast till my next meal. Anybody can do that. Difficult to fast when there is no food. So it's easy to be collegial and humble amongst devotees because they're good people. Easy to be nice with friends, close friends and family, because they're your well-wishers. That's your what do they call, the comfort zone. More difficult when you go out of that comfort zone. That's when those qualities are tested. And when you're able to demonstrate that, then you attract more mercy. Like you give a more difficult exam and you pass it, then you attain a higher status. And the final thought is, this comes from Narad Muni, this notion of always being practical. So there is a pastime of Narad Muni, you've all heard it, that there was a snake that lived under a tree that was very envious. And everybody was scared to go around that tree because the snake would chase them, try to bite them. And Narad Muni once came, and the people said, don't go near the tree. There's this snake, and he's very poisonous and very envious. And Narad Muni, of course, promptly went to the tree, and the snake came running out. Who came around this area hissing? And then Narad Muni, being Narad Muni, he preached to the snake. Don't be like this. So the snake said, okay. After that, Narad Muni went away. And then he comes back after a while, and he said, okay, let me look for my friend, the snake. So he went to that area, and he started calling out for the snake, where are you? And he heard a very weak voice full of pain. I'm here, I'm here. So Narad Muni goes there and he sees the snake there is almost half dead. And it has all kinds of wounds on its body. Narad Muni said, what happened? And the snake said, nothing. I was just following your instructions. I became humble. I became meek. Everybody comes and beats me up now. The boys in the village, they come and throw stones at me. So Narad Muni said that I asked you to not be envious and not attack them, but show your fangs to protect yourself. So that's the practical aspect of our behavior. That if we are at that level of realization where we are truly unaffected, then we can act like that. If we are at the level of Haridas Thakur, where his guards are beating him up and he's praying for the welfare of his guards, then we can be at that level. But we are not. So what do? We can show our fangs to protect us. We don't have to bite. We don't have to play the game. We don't have to inject poison in it. But we can do enough that we protect ourselves. This will translate differently in different situations. But the mood is there. That just because somebody is trying to demean us, we don't want to demean them, saying that you demean me so much, I can do twice as well as you do. We don't want to be like that, but we can protect ourselves also, because we're not at the stage where we say, okay, let him demean me. I'm actually more fallen than what he is saying. Right? We're not at this stage. We still have vestiges, more than vestiges of ego. We still have our pride to deal with. So if we artificially act like that, then it would unfavorably manifest at different places. So best for us to protect ourselves. Sometimes it means that actively looking to avoid such situations. Sometimes it means that you see that situation, you're heading in that direction, and then you take steps to protect yourself there. Like Narad Muni says, show your fang, don't bite. And as long as the consciousness is well situated, it's not going to color our consciousness negatively. And even though there are some people who are opportunistics, looking to take advantage, there are also people who recognize good qualities. There are people who will see that this person is not like that. He's not out to get me. No reason for me to fear him. No reason for me to bring him down. Leave him alone. Right. So the same super soul that is within you is also within them, and then will guide them to do the right thing. Okay.
Prabhu, I have a quick question in this context.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, sometimes people, not devotees I'm talking about. Devotees generally don't do that. They will say something hurtful, mean words to you or do something to you. Sometimes I think, what's the use? So is it good to do that, or like, if I do that, they'll think, oh, because they are not, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm in a very high level or something, but at least I have that much understanding, little bit. So, is it okay to respond back to them in a, like, not in a bad way, but, at least in a cordial way?
Definitely.
Okay.
That's the point that Narad Muni makes, that you don't have to play the game, but you can protect yourself. So if they are saying bad things about you, so you don't have to say that, well, you said 2 things about me, I have a list of 5 things about you. Right? So we don't have to move in that direction. But we are also in that position where we get hurt by these bad things that are said. I mean, that's the reality. We have to acknowledge it. So how do we address it in a Krishna conscious way? We address it by saying that whatever, this is not true, or this is misunderstanding, and then leave it at that. Whether the person accepts it or does not accept it, then we basically say it's ultimately between them and Krishna, and between me and Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other thoughts? Okay, very good. So we had spoken so far about the situation that leads to the fall of Jai Vijay. Now, the second part of the pastime is the situation that leads to the birth of Jai Vijay, the first birth. They take birth 3 times. So the first time that they take birth is in the family of Prajapati Kashyap and his wife Diti. So Brahma's, after Brahma had the 4 Kumars and the Rudras, he had the 10 Manasputras, 10 children that were born from his mind. And these were great sages and Prajapatis, more obedient to Brahma than the 4 Kumars were. And one of them is Marichi. And Marichi has a son who is our Kashyap Muni, who is one of the most prominent Prajapatis. Another one is Daksha. Kashyap is also very prominent because many different species actually are descendants of Kashyap. So Kashyap had many wives. And amongst his many wives were the daughters of Daksha. So Daksha married his, I believe, 13 daughters to Kashyap, and they were all sisters. And one of them is Diti. So one day or one evening, when Kashyap Muni was busy doing his Sandhya Vandanam, Diti approaches him with a desire for union. And Kashyap, he accepts the fact that she is his wife, and as a husband, it is well within the realms of the scriptures. It is well within the realms of religiosity for the husband and the wife to be together for the purpose of producing progeny. But he says that this is not an appropriate time, because this is twilight, this is dusk, and the dusk is considered as an inauspicious time, which is why at the Sandhyas, the Brahmins and even the devotees, they chant various purificatory mantras. They're called the Sandhya Vandanams. There are 3 Sandhyas in the morning, afternoon, evening. So because Sandhya is like a transition time when it is neither here nor there, and especially the evening sandhya. So Kashyap says that this is the time when ghosts and hobgoblins, they travel all around. Lord Shiva travels, looking to punish those who are doing impious activities at this time. So he tells Diti, you wait for some time. Let this inauspicious moment pass, and then I will be more than happy to satisfy all your desires, because you're my wife and I'm your husband. Diti, however, is so overcome with passion that she refuses to wait. And in the Bhagavatam, it's strong language. In the Bhagavatam, it is written that shamelessly, like a prostitute, Diti drags her husband and lies with him. Now, in the Bhagavatam, Kashyap is also criticized. He's also found fault with, because more than Diti, he has the responsibility of making sure that the right thing is done. So even though Diti was forcing him, he always had the opportunity or the position to say no, but he does not. Even though he objects, he finally agrees to it. So right after the act is done and Diti's passions are subdued, then she immediately begins to feel very, very strong sense of remorse and shame. And actually, she is glorified. So on the surface, it looks like it is Diti who did something wrong, and in a way she did. But actually, Diti is also glorified because she did something wrong, but Kashyap was her husband. The husband is considered as the spiritual master of the wife. The duty of the spiritual master is to correct the disciple, not to participate in an incorrect act with the disciple. And to give Diti credit, that as soon as she regained a semblance of her balance, the first thing that she experienced was remorse and shame. So this is an important life lesson for us. The point that was made earlier on was that there is no expectations of the jivas to be perfect. There is expectation of the jiva to aspire, to do the right thing, but there is no expectation of the jiva to be perfect, which means that the jiva will make mistakes. In fact, it is said even in the spiritual world, this is going on. It's not that everybody in the spiritual world is doing everything right all the time. Right? When you read some of the more intimate pastimes in the spiritual world, you see that how there is quarrels that is going on. Sometimes gopis are fighting, Radharani curses Sridama, Radharani curses Viraja, she curses Tulsi Devi. And the gopas, sometimes they quarrel with one another. So there is that, there is that imperfection. But the difference is that it is immediately followed by a strong sense of acknowledgement that I made a mistake. Because more wrong than making a mistake is not accepting that you have made the mistake. So even in material law, like in the criminal law, if the person who has committed the crime displays sincere regret, that is taken into consideration at the time of sentencing. But the lawyers will actually coach the person. The person will speak, they will speak, they will apologize to the family of the victims. They will admit they're wrong. And it'll be interesting that, and of course, these people they're doing it completely for material reasons, not necessarily that they're actually feeling sorry, but you can see that they have understood the power of regret, that they will never make excuses. When they come or stand up in the court and they say, I'm sorry, I did this, whatever crime, they will never say, but the fact was that I was having a bad day, but the fact was that the situation was adverse. No, the apologies are unconditional. I am sorry, I made a mistake. That's the hallmark of genuine apology. Diti immediately apologizes, and she doesn't say that there are for extenuating circumstances, she says, I'm a woman and I'm weak. So she does make a little bit of reference to that, but the focus of her speech after that is that I realize I made a mistake. I'm very sorry that I made it. And if there is anything that she's talking to her husband now, anything that you can do to help me, I would be most obliged. So Kashyap Muni at this point, and because he's obviously a great sage, a great Muni, he has this vision of the future, and he says that that because of this inauspicious time, the progeny that will appear in your womb will be inauspicious. But because you have immediately repented, because you have expressed genuine remorse, and Diti speaks also about the personality of Godhead, that how she would like to take shelter. So because you've expressed your dependence on the Lord, and Kashyap says on me. So even though the two sons that will be born, they will be demoniac. They will cause so much of harm and destruction in this universe. They will kill innocent people. They will harm so many religious practices. But there will be one remediating factor. Because of your genuine remorse, they will be killed by the very hand of the personality of Godhead. He himself will come and kill them. And then we get a sense of the exalted character of Diti. She hears this and she says, thank you very much. Now, she doesn't say to Kashyap that, that's good, they'll be killed, but can you do this? Can you do that? Maybe work out some kind of a deal with the Lord. So she understands that being killed by the very hand of the Lord is a great benediction, because the Lord is absolute. For him, we are all his children. And the same hand that benedicts also kills, but it's the hand of the father to the child. So she says, okay, I can understand that somehow or the other, my sons will attract the favor of the personality of Godhead. So after this, Diti becomes pregnant. And because Diti was aware that her sons, when they appear, they would wreak havoc in the universe. By her own powers, she withheld her embryos in a womb. And she withheld them for I forget the duration, it was 100 years or 1,000 years, but for a very long time. And as the embryos are held within the womb, and this, of course, now we know are Jay and Vijay. They fall down from the spiritual world and they enter the womb of Diti. Now they're far out, full demons. But because of their own prowess, they're after all Jay Vijay. They're personal associates of the Lord. Even while within the womb of Diti, by their power, the whole universe began to burn. All kinds of inauspicious omens began to appear. So it says that how the clouds began to rain blood, and the stars began to move in opposite direction. The sky became covered with smoke, and the devas, they were completely bewildered. That and the devas, they're completely bewildered and scared. So they know all this is happening, but they don't know why it's happening. So they go to Lord Brahma, saying this whole universe seems to be in disorder. And the devas, as we know, it's their responsibility to take care of the universe. They say, we don't know. We have not done anything. We don't know who's done it. But everything seems to be topsy-turvy. And then Brahma says, let me tell you a story. So he tells the devas the pastime of the four Kumaras, entry into Vaikuntha, cursing of Jay and Vijay. And he says those two very same personalities have now entered into the womb of Diti. And the Deva says, so what's going to happen? And Brahma says, Lord Vishnu has promised that when the time is right, he will personally come and kill them. So you have nothing to worry about. So the Devas are relieved. And they're happy. They go back to their respective abodes. And when the time is right, then Diti has two sons. And because they're mystical, so they're born and they immediately grow into fully grown bodies. And one of them is Hirnaksh and the other is Hiranyakashipu. And they're both described as being tall and strong and powerfully built and arrogant. And this was the Satyug. And again, driven by impressions, they go to perform severe austerities. And when they're performing these austerities, Brahma is forced to come to give them benedictions. So they ask for all kinds of benedictions, weapons and strength and ability to win battles, mystic powers. Brahma says, okay, take it. So they become powerful. And they become so powerful that they drive the devas out of their abodes and they begin to rule the universe. And Hirnaksha, so Hirnaksh is one who likes wealth. And Hiranyaksha, so Hiranya is gold. So he's big into gold. So he travels all over the universe, challenging. He's so strong that everybody flees in front of him. And by the order of his elder brother, he travels all over the universe, challenging the different devas and asuras and danavas to fight with him. Most of them decline, and those who do, he beats them up. So finally, traveling like that, he reaches the abode of Lord Varun. And pretending to be very fallen, he begs Lord Varun that I hear you are very strong. I hear that you are a Lokpal. I heard that you have unlimited treasures in your womb. Lord Varun is the demigod of the oceans, the underworld. So the ocean is said to hold unlimited treasures. And he says, please, I'm your most fallen servant. I ask you for this one boon, that please give me combat, fight with me. And Varun was, of course, aware of the benedictions that Hiranyaksha had received, knew that he could not be defeated. So Varun says that I cannot fight with you, but if you travel, you will meet somebody who will be more than willing to fight with you. So Hiranyaksha travels around, he meets Narad Muni. Narad Muni sends him to the Garbhoda ocean. And there he is loitering around with his mace, looking for somebody to fight. So at that time, from the nostril of Lord Brahma appears a small boar. And as Lord Brahma watches and the Devas watch, the boar grows and grows and grows into size until it becomes really, really big. And that boar is none other than Lord Varadev. So seeing Lord Varadev, Hiranyaksha quickly comes, eager to fight with him, challenges him to combat. Now, Hiranyaksha had also done another mischief, that because he was so much greedy for gold, it is said that he had extracted so much gold from the Earth planet that it had lost its equilibrium and it had fallen into the Garbhoda ocean. So at the bottom of the universe, the lower half of the universe is the ocean known as the Garbhodaka ocean. And the upper part of the universe is where the planets exist. So the Earth planet had fallen down into the bottom of the ocean. So when Lord Vara appears, he pretty much ignores Hiranyaksha. And he dives right into the ocean. So it is said that the Lord assumes a form that is most suitable for the pastime. That because the nature of the pig is to look for things amongst dirt. So as Varadev, the Lord goes to the bottom of the Garbhodaka ocean, and within the mud, he searches for and finds the Earth planet. And Prabhupada says that this is what the materialists are doing, that they're exploiting the natural resources of the planet just like Hiranyaksha did. They will cause the planet to lose its equilibrium and they will be punished for it, just like Hiranyaksha was punished for it. So the way to survive is given by Krishna in the Ishopanishad. Ishavashyam idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatam jagat. That one must take only that which is needed and keep aside everything else, knowing that it is not meant for them. So this hoarding or mentality is what causes the disturbance in the universe. It's like Mahatma Gandhi would say, right? There is enough for everybody's need, not enough for the greed. So Varadev, he rescues Mother Earth. He puts her back in the proper orbit. And now he turns his attention to Hirnaksh, who's been continuously berating him, saying that, how come you turn your back to me? You're a jungle creature. You're known to run away. And that's what you're doing. Who are you? So then Varadev turns to him. And then there is a long and wonderful battle between Lord Varadev and Hirnaksha. And the battle is, it's described in the Bhagavatam. It's like an exciting page turner. That sometimes Hirnaksha gets the upper hand, sometimes Lord Vara gets the upper hand, and then Brahma and the Devas, they're all witnessing the battle. I mean, Varadev gets the upper hand, then everybody is Hari Bol, Hari Bol. And when Hirnaksha gets the upper hand, they're like, oh my Lord, be careful, be careful. And Brahma is giving his expert comments from the side. He's advising Lord Varadev that, yes, now you should kill him. This is the right time to kill him. The twilight zone is the time of the twilight is appearing when the power of these demons increase manifold. So stop playing with him, kill him. So in this way, the battle goes on until the evening time arrives. And at that time, Varadev, very casually, he slaps Hirnaksh under the ear, and Hirnaksh dies. So also to show that the Lord was enjoying the battle. So it's not that he was being tested, or Hirnaksh was a lot more powerful than the Lord. Because if he was, then the Lord would not have. He almost negligently kills him. Even though Hirnaksh has all this divine weapons, he has all these mystic siddhis, he creates all these illusions, etc. And ultimately the Lord just reaches out, he slaps him under the ear, he's dead. So when Hirnaksha dies, then Hiranyakashipu is angry. Very, very angry, because he was very, very close to his brother. And so first thing that he goes is that he consoles the wife of his brother. And it's interesting that when he's consoling the wife of his brother, or the widow of his brother, he's speaking as if he's speaking the Bhagavad Gita. He says that all of us are destined to die according to our karma. We are not the body, we are the soul. Don't be so much attached. Happiness and distress, they're two sides of the same coin. They come and they go. So please take care of yourself. And so he's showing the characteristics of a false spiritualist. So he has all the knowledge, he can speak it, but he does not follow it. Because after he has pacified the widow of his brother, he goes out and he says, I am not going to forgive Vishnu for killing my brother. Until I kill him, until I drink his blood, I will not be satisfied. So all the philosophy that he was speaking goes out of the window. That's the nature of the false transcendentalists. So they may have a lot of knowledge. But how does that knowledge play out when it is actually needed? That it's a little funny situation that there's this Babaji in Delhi. He charges, I forget how much, 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees for 15 minutes conversation with people. And apparently in that 15 minutes, people can talk about the problems. he will either give them a mantra, or he will bless them that your problem will be solved. And my mother is into these kinds of things. So she got on my brother's case that we have to go and meet him. We have to go and meet him. My brother finally said, okay. So they go, they pay the money, they go, they meet him. My mother says this, that, and he starts giving advice. And then as part of whatever he asked my brother, what kind of work do you do? And etc. So that's the end. He takes the money, that's the end of the conversation. Next day, he calls my brother and he says, I have a nephew who needs a job. Can you help him get a job? And my brother was laughing that at one point, he is this person who is supposed to make things happen for other people. And he himself is reaching out to others for help. So obviously a pretender. So we see that similar characteristics in Hiranyakashipu is probably the origin of that nature, that preaching philosophically and not inaccurate things, accurate things. Like I said, if you read that conversation, it's like it's from the Bhagavad Gita. But he has no attraction to implementing the words. So right after that, so he is, because he has already conquered the universe, he has driven the devas out, he tells his attendants that the austerities that my brother and I performed were not sufficient to kill Vishnu. So now I will go and perform even more severe austerities. And in the meantime, you rule the kingdom on my behalf. And then when I come back with more boons, then I will resume my rule and we will together destroy Vishnu. So that is the end of part 1. Part 2 will begin with the austerities of Hiranyakashipu and the appearance of, or the subsequent appearance of Prahlad Maharaj. Okay, so I'll end over here. Went a little bit over time. Sorry about that. See if you have any comments, any discussion.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. 2 questions, Prabhuji. One is even before we came to Krishna consciousness also, we have some idea that, God is deathless kind of idea. But somebody with so much exalted position, like a Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they, of course, they are captured by Maya, but still, are these demons, great demons, they are not aware of the position of Vishnu, Prabhuji? They think that they can kill the God?
It's a good question. It's the influence of pride. So Hiranyakashipu is not the only one who has aspired to kill God, right? Each one of us has aspired. Each one of us, every day, we aspire to kill him, right? So there is this statement that God is dead, long live God. What does that mean? It's for people like us who have killed God and now want to be God. There's only one God, right? So if I want to be God, the first step is I kill God. And the second step is I take his position, right? And we are doing it. As we speak, we are doing it. So do we know that God is deathless? Yes, right? Do we know that we have a practical shot at becoming God? Most of us are pragmatic enough to know that no. But we will say that, okay, if not big God, small God, right? Little gods. We will We will begin. So that's the power of Maya. That's the power of illusion. That it covers the intelligence. It covers one's realizations. And Hiranyakashipu is a classic example of that. That just before that, he is speaking words of spiritual transcendence. So which means that he's not in ignorance. He understands. The point that you're making is it's validated in the Bhagavatam that he understands. But at the same time, he's so covered with pride and anger and lust. In his case, it's the sense of revenge. That only way I will rest is by killing Vishnu. There, right? So, we may get surprised by seeing it in Hiranyakashipu, but we should get actually more surprised by seeing it in ourselves. Yeah?
Very true, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I saw Shivani. Did you have your hand up? Avinash Prabhu? I thought I saw your hand up and they're not up anymore. So maybe
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I was actually thinking on the same lines. I had a similar question where you mentioned that, Hiranyakashipu, he knew of everything, right? He knew of Bhagavad Gita, and you kind of answered that he was not ignorant. He had the knowledge. But then still he acted in that way. And, I was just thinking that as practicing devotees, as neophytes, a lot of time we also know, that this is the right thing, this is how we should do it. But we don't end up doing that way, or, intentionally, or even sometimes, like, I would say knowingly. Unknowingly, if you do, that's different. But knowingly, we know that this is not a right thing, but we still do it, right?
True. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there are no more questions, then if you can take out your bead bags and unmute yourself, we'll chant one round together. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Srivasavati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna. Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna. Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna. Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna. Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna. Ram Hare Hare. Krishna. Ram Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Ram Ram Ram
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Thank you. For Nrsinghadeva prayer, Indulekha, who's doing Nrsinghadeva prayer?
I'm doing today.
Aradhana?
Aradhana. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Aradhana. Good.
Namaste Nrsinghaya Prahlad Ladlayite Hiranyakasha काशीपूर्वक्षः शिलाकङ्कालकालाये हितो नृसिंह परतो नृसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नृसिंह बहे नृसिंहारिदहे नृसिंह नरसिंहमधिं चरणां प्रपदे तव कर कमल परे नकां अद्भुत सिंह हृदा हिरण्यकशिपु तनुबिन्दा ईशवुदिता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे नव कमल मणि नभो अद्भुत सिंह हिरण्यकशिपु ईशवुदिता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
भक्ति विघ्न विनाशन नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। सर्व विघ्न विनाशन लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव की जय। शीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Thank you, Aradhana. Wonderful kid.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll end here. We'll meet again next week. Resume our katha of Lord Nrsinghadeva. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhayascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। साई गौर प्रेमानंद। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you.